So, Berto, I thought I would just have a fun conversation with my best buddy, and we would talk about Bond movies, because, the new James Bond movie came out, and I thought we'd talk about that. I thought we'd also talk about our favorite Bond movies and our favorite Bond songs, and we would rank the Bond actors. And then if we have any time at the end, we might answer some Patreon emails. What do you say, Berto?
Bonding over Bond? I love it.
This is the Psychology in Seattle podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kirk Honda, or should I say Honda, Kirk Honda, professor and therapist.
My name is Castañeda, Humberto Castañeda, and I make gadgets that are used by international spies.
No Time to Die. We just watched it. Different theaters, I believe. Did we not? How many Bertos out of 10 would you give it?
Oh, I gave it, and I'll have to rewatch it, but for now, I give it 10.
Wow. Your brother also gave it a 10.
No, he had a range.
Well, he gave it. He was doing A's and A minuses and A pluses.
Yeah.
It seemed to hover around.
It's like a 9.
Probably. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I gave it a 10.
So for me, I gave it a 7, which I was surprised by, because the Daniel Craig. Really, when I started ranking all the Bond movies, it's pretty much the first 25% of the movies I love because I watched them back then. But as an adult, like hardly any of the ones that have been released since 1988, I haven't really liked any of them.
Oh, God.
And the Daniel Craig ones, everyone was just completely going gaga over. And for me, I'm like, I don't know, it just tonally just didn't grab me. I mean, there's certainly some awesome scenes, but this movie, Time to Die, the first hour, I thought was fantastic.
It's so gripping.
The action, the gadgets, the locales. I mean, it just felt like total James Bond. I knew basically what was happening, and I was very pleasantly surprised. The second half, it didn't go full morose like some other James Bond movies of late, but it went kind of morose and slow. But then the final scene, I liked.
Spoiler alerts.
Which we won't spoil.
We won't spoil.
Right? Yeah,
we won't spoil.
Because you don't really have to. But there's a final scene sequence that is
really powerful,
pretty powerful, and I cried a bit.
Oh, I was Niagara falling.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was. There's so much wrapped up in the Bond stuff from me loving them as a kid, and so there was a lot of significance there for me.
So I'm going to the movie, and I walk by this restaurant, and I just kind of glance inside, and I see these people that I know.
This is before or after the movie?
Before the movie.
Okay.
And so I've talked about how I go to this movie trivia thing called Movie Cat, and it's been hosted for like 10 years now by Jess and Brian, and they're a couple, and I saw them. Even though they were wearing masks.
They're Seattleites?
Yeah.
Oh.
They were wearing masks, and they have very distinctive hair. And so I walk in there, and I'm like, Movie Cat, oh my God. Because during the pandemic, they were all basically, the only socializing Stacy and I did was to play this movie trivia game on Twitch, and there was only like 30 people playing, so it wasn't. And if you do it it was every week.
Yeah, I played with you once.
Yeah, and so I ran up to them and said, "Oh my God, Movie Cat," and I'm talking to them for a second, and they're like, "Oh, we're having a live show coming up," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
What?
And I'm taking a selfie, and they're kind of laughing, and they're thinking, they're saying, this is kind of funny because usually when strangers come up to us to, say things to us, it's because of him. And they point across the table, and it's Ken Jennings.
Oh.
The new Jeopardy host.
Right.
And the Jeopardy champion.
And he's also from Seattle?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's from Edmonds, actually.
Oh, weird.
Anyway, so because they're laughing because they're minor celebrities. They're basically like podcasters, right? Like with us. So they're laughing because they're like, we go out with Ken Jennings all the time.
And they're usually saying hi to him.
Not to us.
Oh.
And so I turn, but he has his mask on too.
Okay.
And I'm not a big Jeopardy person.
Sure.
I've probably seen in total 7 episodes in my life.
Who is Ken Jennings?
And so when I looked across the table, I was like, oh crap, they're pointing across at a guy who's supposed to be famous, but I don't recognize him at first.
Oh, and they don't say it's because of Ken Jennings.
No, they're like just
because
him.
Of him.
Yeah. And so I look across the table and I'm like, and for some reason, I don't know what kind of
pulled it out of
what kind of brain cell was connecting, right? I just said, Ken Jennings? And they were like, yeah, anyway, so we were chatting. And,
so you could have been on Jeopardy.
I'd be terrible at it. But see the movie, and as I'm walking out of the theater, I went with Bob, actually. And I open, Bob's kind of back by the garbage cans, and so I open the door, and I'm holding the door open for everyone as everyone's kind of filing out.
Right.
And I'm waiting for Bob. And then I see Ken Jennings and the Movie Cat people, they're walking by, and they're like, oh, what'd you think? And I'm like, well, the first half was really exciting. And they all started cracking up laughing because they hated it. And because they thought it was slow. And so when I said...
Slow?
They said it was too long. They said it was too long. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how...
It's two and a half.
2.5 hours. I mean, come on.
It didn't feel slow to me. I could have had another half hour.
The second half felt long to me.
Oh my God, no.
But anyway, I just thought... So on one hand, I was like, okay, they misunderstood what I said. That I said the second half was... Or the first half was fun. Like they thought I was saying it was like a backhanded insult to say that the second half was terrible and long. Yeah. And I was kind of saying that, but I wasn't making a joke. But anyway, they laughed as if I was joking, and I thought, oh, I just made Ken Jennings laugh. So.
But now you can't go back on it.
So anyway, let's do our top 5.
That's heartbreaking.
So give me your top 5 Bond movies.
All right. Number 5, Dr. No. So Dr. No is a fairly simple movie.
Yeah. It's the first,
like
it's
a
the first one.
Yeah, it's like
1962. Yeah. But it's got all the elements.
It's got all the elements, and Sean Connery is amazing in it.
I think they even have Felix Leiter in that movie.
Yeah. And they have, but the thing is, the gadgets are very straightforward. There's nothing that crazy.
Right.
They're more like, the kind of gadgets you would expect someone to have. A really cool gun, maybe a special briefcase, those kinds of things. The story is not that over the top. It's as Bond movies go. And the scenery and the setup is really great. And you have the action sequences, and it sets up the whole little, this is what Bond is.
Yeah. It's almost kind of like a Scooby-Doo episode too, because
it's got a little bit of that.
Like on the island, Dr. No has this dragon thing. He has this tank thing that's trying to act like a dragon because it's shooting fire.
There's a dragon.
Yeah. And by the way, before we move forward, these movies, especially back then during the Sean Connery days, are incredibly sexist. And there are literally scenes that I think should be shown to every young man and boy to talk about, this is an overt example of rape culture where James Bond, this is a movie about a hero. James Bond is a hero.
Yeah.
And he's an agent of the British government. He's not an anti-hero,
Yeah.
He is, and he's supposed to be the epitome of masculinity and the male ideal. He's suave, he's tough, he's smart, he knows languages, the ladies like him, and he literally rapes people on screen in front of us. There's this very just overt rape scene where he hits on this woman. She doesn't like him. She's like, no, get off of me. And he forces himself on her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, James. It is.
But that was a trope. No, it's terrible, but that was the trope back then.
Well, not only the trope, but the cultural.
Yeah.
When I saw those scenes as a kid.
You're like, yeah, that makes sense. That's because women will put up a fight, but you just got to fight through it.
It didn't faze me at all. Yeah. In fact, it probably didn't. I didn't notice it until I was 35 or something.
Yeah, because the message is hey, they'll fight you, but that's absolutely normal. But just keep going because eventually they'll like it.
Well, and there was this this counter or accompanying message and mandate to women that they're not supposed to want it.
Right.
They're supposed to fight you. But how are you supposed to tell the difference between a woman that's fighting because she's just trying to preserve her purity, but she really wants it,
right,
or literally she doesn't want it, you know? And of course, as a man, you're not supposed to care, right?
That's a great point, because so much of it was tied into the whole purity thing.
Oh yeah, women were. If you, as a woman back then, pursued a man or even accepted an invitation sexually. Yeah. Especially in that Scarlet kind of context, letter. Like that, you're a disgusting, you know, slut person. And anyway, but yeah, so, and that's just the rape scenes that are happening in the movies. There are a lot of other misogynistic ideas. You know, women are stupid and they're just there to be like eye candy, particularly in those early days. It slowly evolved over time. But,
and they surprisingly early did start having strong female protagonists, or co-protagonists anyways. But yes.
And there are racist episodes. I mean, Sean Connery dresses up as a Japanese person. There's the one that takes place in the South in America. It's pretty racist against black people, from my memory. So anyway, we're not going to say that isn't happening, and yet, you know, we still love James Bond movies. Just not those scenes. You know, those scenes really stick out, and you're like, oh God.
That's right.
You know, but when he's driving his Aston Martin and you know, putting out the smoke screens, and he's got his Walter PPK and
right, and a lot of these things, unfortunately, are a reflection of the time they were made. It wasn't like they were anomalies, which is problematic, but you know.
Right.
Okay, number 4, Casino Royale. This is the first Daniel Craig movie.
Yeah, bleh.
I love it. I think it revitalized, it cleansed my palate from the silliness that was the Pierce Brosnan era.
It certainly did its job, and certainly did usher in a new age of James Bond.
Oh yeah,
it was definitely flagging there in the aughts.
And it opens with like this amazing parkour sequence, and it's just. And it reboots the whole thing. It's like, this is a new Bond. It's at the start of his story. We meet the new M. It's just so good. So for me, Casino Royale was really amazing. Number 3, No Time to Die. The new one. I wouldn't put it as my number 1, and we'll see why, but I had such a good time in this movie from beginning to end, action-packed. The story, I mean, all these stories are over the top, but as far as these stories go, yes, I know there were nanobots involved, but you know, it was fine. And but those nanobots were different. You know, Berto's referring to the fact that whenever a movie writer wants to create magic in modern times, they'll just write in nanobots, which if you know anything about nanobots, you're like, nanobots can do things, and there are things that are maybe 10 years in the future, or maybe being developed at a secret lab right now, but not what they're depicting on, you know, some of these movies. Well, so the extreme is where the nanobots build anything of any size at any time,
of any strength.
Yeah. Or now, I felt that these were still a little not fully like that, but the fact that a little touch on your skin, now you can infect the whole world with it.
Yeah, and to me, when they were saying nanobots, if it was a mechanical, because sometimes small devices that they're developing today have biological elements to it, because anyway, point is that in the movie, I just thought, oh, it's something that they
like
developed.
A virus, in a way.
Yeah, it's a technology that it's essentially a synthetic virus that they made.
That
was
sense.
Very specific to certain DNA markers. And I thought, okay, that's possible.
And I liked that,
Yeah.
So that's cool. And the fact that you have the Hans Landa, what's his name?
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz doing a much better performance than even he did in the last movie, which I didn't like the last movie, but he was okay in it. And he's not even the main bad guy in it. That was fun.
Yeah.
That first Bond girl that he fights along with is such a badass.
Yeah.
She kicks so much ass.
Yeah.
In Cuba. She's so great. The new spoiler alert, but not fully spoiler alert. The new 007, she is badass as well.
Yeah,
and
I thought
they don't overplay it.
They wrote her so well. So it's a black British woman, and she is 007 because James Bond has quit the force.
Right.
And in the beginning, there's this competition.
Yeah.
You know, he is like, "Oh, you're the new upstart," and she's like, "Oh, you're the old washed up like dude. You know, get out of my way. I'm the new." You know, there's this competition between the new 007 and the old. And then eventually, spoiler, I don't know if this is much of a spoiler, but I won't say the exact lines, but but she leads the way.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't reach out to her in a warm way. She reaches out to him.
And
which shows that the writers are like, this woman, this black British woman is smart, is wise, is mature.
And like she's the official agent.
They gave her, that would have been so tempting to make Daniel Craig's character, you know, the white James Bond guy, the one who extends the olive leaf, but she is the one she takes the high road. She is the better one. And I just thought that was so satisfying when they wrote that in. And
they could have done these, like the cheesy things of like, literally show the competition side by side. And like, they steered away from doing that. They did it only a little bit, just the right amount. Like, the fact was that they were both after the same target in Cuba, and yes, he ended up getting it, but not. It was fine. It's like they were in a parallel track, you know. So, anyways, there was some of it, but it wasn't over the top.
Yeah, and you know they're both fighting the good fight, and they understand that when it comes down to it, they need to serve their country instead of their own egos.
So that was great. My number 2, Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Goldfinger is potentially even more.
I thought Goldfinger would be your number 1 because one of your top 5 movies was Goldfinger or something, right?
Yes,
or
but
top 13 movies maybe.
But we will get to why, because Goldfinger defines even more than Dr. No, defines Bond. Like that's the Aston Martin with all the gadgets.
Yeah.
The super good bad guy. I mean, Goldfinger is like he's one of the bad guys I put in one of my lists.
Oh.
Yeah. And Odd Job, best, henchman, or not, one of the best henchmen.
That actor has like a tragic story.
Oh,
and as a kid, being one of the only Asians on TV, I remember like really bonding with Odd Job.
Yeah, even though he didn't talk. But and the movie is good. It's a good movie. So to me, Goldfinger, first of all, I love Sean Connery as a Bond, and Goldfinger is the perennial thing that I measure Bond movies against, except for the number 1 movie.
Yeah, Goldfinger was my number 2 as well, strangely. And for the same reason, also, it not only defined Bond, but it defined action movies.
Yeah, true.
Like, this is 1964.
It's incredible.
If you look at movies made in 1964 or just the early 60s, they are not good.
Right.
Like, there's a reason why not a lot of people know the classics of the 60s. The 60s was a pretty dark time for Hollywood. It made a lot of stupid movies. I mean, movies that were probably fine for a popcorn movie back then, but like they don't hold up like the movies of the 50s and 40s
the 70s,
and the 70s. And Goldfinger comes out in the midst of all that and is this standard, this classic.
Absolutely.
And so many movies are copying that, the Bourne Identity and, all these other movies are copying so many elements from that, and of course, The Spy Who Shagged Me, for example.
And like the line, do you expect me to sit here and talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Yeah.
So
no, Mr.
good.
Bond, I expect you to die.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay. But my number 1 Bond movie of all time.
Let me see if I can guess. Oh, well, I already said Casino Royale. I already said no Time to Die. A GoldenEye?
No, definitely not. No Pierce Brosnan.
Let me guess. I mean, there's early Sean Connery stuff. You got The Man with the Golden Gun. You certainly wouldn't say Moonraker because you're not a psychopath. You got like World is not, I don't know. Like the only thing I can think of is that you picked another early one, like Live and Let Die or something, or the Man.
So it's not Live and Let Die, but it is a Roger Moore movie.
Okay.
So even though
it's not Octopussy.
I love no, it's not Octopussy. Even though I love Sean Connery, my first exposure to Bond was Roger Moore, and this movie was the best Roger Moore movie.
Which one?
The Spy Who Loved Me.
Okay, yeah.
The Spy Who Loved Me has the Lotus, the white Lotus that turns into a submarine.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And it's a good story. It's got a good romance. It's got Jaws.
Yeah.
It's got Jaws, the bad guy. And this is before...
I need to rewatch that one. We should rewatch it.
Yeah, we should rewatch it.
Yeah.
Because this is before they fully jumped the shark in Moonraker.
Right.
Because that was the follow-up.
Yeah.
So this movie was perfect for me. Now, of course, by modern standards... It came out the
same year that Star Wars came out.
Oh, wow.
And that's why Moonraker was made, because they were trying to respond to that. Right.
So by modern standards, of course, if you compare, like, it's sort of unfair. If you compare the action of No Time to Die to any of these movies, it's like, but you can't.
I don't know. Some of those Roger Moore movies have, I think, compelling action. They knew what they were doing.
Actually, those snow chase scenes,
right?
And
they use actual stuntmen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Interesting. Spy Who Loved Me, the first one. Okay, I could see that. All right, for me, number 5 is Never Say Never Again, which is not considered a James Bond movie,
but it's a great movie.
But it is a James Bond movie.
Yeah, and
it literally is dung 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 dung, and has Sean Connery.
And actually, it fits in well with it being sort of like off the side, because he was like, remember, he was sort of like injured and taking a leave.
Yeah, why isn't it considered a James Bond movie?
Because
it wasn't made by the same studio.
It's not made by the same studio, and there was already another Bond. It was when Lazenby was doing it. No,
this is 1983.
Oh, sorry. Then
so it would have been.
So, but that's why it's not considered official, because there's already a Bond out there. It's Roger Moore.
I scanned the Wikipedia page. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. But essentially, I think what it is that it was produced by a different studio, and somehow they got their hands on the James Bond brand. And I forgot that at the same year, Octopussy came out, and so they had 2 Bond movies in the same year coming out by different studios, one made by the studio that always makes a James Bond movie and a different studio that never made James Bond movies. And so for that reason, it's not considered canon to the James Bond universe.
And my only point is that I don't think viewers had any clue or cared that it was done by a different company.
When I saw it at the time, and absolutely thought it was a James Bond movie, but when you look at people's lists of James Bond movies, they don't include
and
that.
And that's what I'm saying. For people like me, the reason I don't consider it an official James Bond movie is because it was done during the Roger Moore era. I thought it was during between Lazenby and Moore, but it doesn't matter. The point is, there was already a different Bond. So I'm like, oh, that's not official then. Because you can only have one Bond at a time. But I do like the movie.
Anyway, so that's my number 5. Because when I saw it in the theater at age 12, I feel like James Bond movies are perfectly marketed to 12-year-old boys.
Yes.
And that's why all the movies that are in my top 5 are movies I saw by the time I was 12.
Plus, that was the only chance you would have had to see a Sean Connery Bond movie in the theater.
In the theater, right. And it's definitely an 80s movie.
Yeah.
And they have this scene where they're playing a video game, James Bond and the evil guy. And the idea is that...
Which I wanted to play that game so bad.
As you start losing the game, it starts to electrocute your hands, because the controllers are both shoot electricity through your body. And so not only are you beating the opponent, but you're also
beating them.
electrocuting them. And it's a game of chicken where if you hold on longer, you can maybe win, anyway.
Yeah.
And so, and Rowan Atkinson is in the movie, Kim Basinger. And I just remember, because to me, the Bond movies up until Never Say Never Again felt like old movies to me. And when I saw Never Say Never Again, I was like, this feels like a movie that would come out today.
Yeah.
Number 4 is You Only Live Twice, 1967. The only reason why I put it is because it takes place in Japan.
Yeah. It's good.
It's one of the old Sean Connery movies. It's got some terribly sexist and racist stuff in it, but it also has some good Japanese representation.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a Japanese agent counterpart who kicks ass.
Yeah, and I like that movie.
And as a kid, I just remember being like, oh my goodness, James Bond's going to Japan. Number 3 is Octopussy. I would have normally had this at number 1, but I recently rewatched this with Berto, and it wasn't as good as I remember it being.
But there's a lot of good stuff to it.
Yeah. It's not complicated. As great Roger Moore performance, good action. I thought. Anyway, number 2, Goldfingers. We already talked. Number 1 is On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh no way!
Oh yeah,
Lazenby.
Because to me, having grown up with mostly Sean Connery, George Lazenby has such class, but also he's more human and more, and he's softer and nicer and more emotive.
And it's a good movie, by the way. It's a good movie.
Yeah, and it stars Diana Rigg from The Avengers, and who also plays Elena Tyrell.
I had a big crush on her.
Yeah, and she died last year, by the way. But
wait, that was that actress in Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
I never put that together.
Really? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Diana Rigg had been in a billion things over the years. Yeah, I just remember when I saw this at the age of 12 or 15 or something on VHS. I was just really taken by the movie, the story, the setting. I guess at the time I was a skier as well, and I still am.
It's got a great sequence of yeah,
and the fact that he falls in love and he gets married and this tragedy happens.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it felt very...
It's a good story, it's a good movie, but you're still wrong.
Because to me, I never really fell in for the, James, that whole trope where some lady was swooning over him. Like even as a
James
kid...
Bond, man, I was swooning over him.
but even as a kid, I just thought, it just didn't... I don't know. It's just not the sort of love story that I was looking for, because it just felt like, well, next movie you're going to be with someone else. I mean, it just didn't feel very, I don't know.
So you mean like when Roger Moore's in the space shuttle at the end of Moonraker? Yeah. Look, I agree with you on all those points, but it is still blasphemous to put a Lazenby movie as number 1.
Why?
Because it's just not right. No, but because it's like me putting The Living Daylights as number 1.
Why couldn't that be number 1?
Because, first of all, it is a good movie. Timothy Dalton is not Bond at all. Now, I will say George Lazenby was miles better than Timothy Dalton. But Lazenby didn't have the humor.
But Lazenby literally played a character called James Bond in a James Bond movie.
Yeah, it's debatable.
So, top 10 James Bond songs. Start with your number 10, Berto.
All right.
Actually, let's take a break first.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're back from the break. So let's do some OPP, some old patron praise. These patrons have been patrons since November of 2018.
Wow.
I want to give some praise to them for sticking with us through thick and thin.
Praise you like I should.
We have Melinda from New York.
Oh.
Megan...
I want to go to New York, man.
Megan from Australia. We got Morani from El Paso, Texas. I've been to that little town. Very nice little town. We got Daniel, who we know from God knows where.
Oh.
We have Samuel from Newark, New Jersey. We got Amy from Atlanta, Georgia. Amy, I believe we have communicated with her. We got Miranda from God knows where. We got Michael from New York. We got Ashley from New Mexico. We got Jack from Minneapolis. We got Ronnie from Norway.
Just how Ronnie says.
We have Anna from New York. We got Laura from Richland, Washington. You ever been to Richland, Washington?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's a nice little town.
Okay.
And she's actually an upper tier. So was Michael, by the way, also upper tier. We got Jeppy from God knows where. We got Lily from Cheshire, Great Britain.
Oh,
guessing that's where the Cheshire cats.
Cheshire.
And we got Paulette, who I know from Antioch. And so they have all been patrons of podcasts since then.
That is amazing.
Top 10, Berto, songs.
Okay, so first of all, I full disclosure that this should have been a top 6 list for me, because after number 6, I barely even know the songs, but Okay.
I kind of got that way too, actually.
Okay, number 10. This one I do know, but diamonds are forever.
Yeah.
Forever. This isn't a great song, but it is very catchy. It is very catchy.
It isn't a great song, but it is on my top 10 list.
Well, it's because it is catchy, and I don't even like this Bond movie or anything, but it's a hard song to forget. Diamonds are forever. And it's also by Shirley Bassey, who did one of the higher songs on my list.
Yeah, I think she sang like 4 or 5.
Yeah, she was very successful. Number 9. I don't know how this song goes because I forgot, but Skyfall by Adele. I'm giving it to her because I like Adele.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the chorus, but it's very Adele-y.
Skyfall. Okay. Number 8. The Living Daylights. Aha. I think it goes, take on me.
Wait, you don't remember how this goes?
I don't remember how it goes.
Living daylights.
Oh, yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Number 7. You know my name.
Oh, yeah.
Look up the number.
No, that's not how it goes.
You know my name.
That's not how it goes.
It's not?
No.
Of course not. But I don't honestly remember how it goes. But it is You Know My Name from Casino Royale, Chris Cornell. And
Yeah, it's very Chris Cornell-y.
You know my name. All right.
Wait, so you really have songs on the list that you don't even...
7 through 10. Oh, well, no. 7 through 9.
How did you even
because
possibly...
I'm giving the artist the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Number 6. Goldfinger.
Wow.
I both slightly like this song, and it's very memorable.
Yeah.
Very memorable. Number 5. Now these are the songs I really like. Number 5. For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah.
Sheena Easton.
Only for you.
I had a crush on Olivia Newton-John and Sheena Easton, but Olivia would trump Sheena. But anyways, yeah, For Your Eyes Only. Number 4. From Your Eyes Only. Number 4. Oh, wait, no, that's the other. Sorry. Nobody does it better. And it's by Carly Simon from The Spy Who Loved Me, which is my one of my other favorite movies.
Wait, I thought it was Man with the Golden Gun.
Nobody does it better. No.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Positive. Well, because I have it on my list too, and did I get it wrong? Oh yeah, Spy Who Loved Me. Okay.
Yeah. So it's my favorite Bond movie, and it's my number 4 favorite song. Number 3. Dun, da-dun, 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 da-dun.
This is the Duran Duran one?
Yeah. View to a Kill.
Yeah.
This I really liked. I loved this song. I love Duran Duran.
Yeah.
And this was from A View to a Kill. A View to a Kill. Quite cheesy. Nowhere near as bad as Moonraker. Very good action. Christopher Walken is fun. Not the best Bond movie, but still quite serviceable.
Yeah. I think I just need to say this, that pretty much after... let me look at the list here. After Octopussy, maybe, and Never Say Never Again in 1983, I can't really remember any of the movies past that. I know I saw all of them in the theater because I would have, but
it's like a blank.
But I don't remember anything about A View to a Kill or Living Daylights or License to Kill or GoldenEye. I don't remember anything. I remember there was one.
A View to a Kill has Grace Jones and Christopher Walken and the Zeppelin and the horses and.
Was Grace Jones in another Bond movie as well?
No, she's the one. She's the henchman in A View to a Kill.
I just don't I don't think I had realized that. Whereas if you asked me about like Thunderball or Russian with Love or Dr. No, or
you could tell me.
Yeah, I mean like there's scenes and anyway.
Number 2. When you were young and your heart was an open book. So live and let die.
By Guns N' Roses.
Yes, but originally by Mr. Paul McCartney from the movie Live and Let Die, which is the one that takes place in New Orleans. And yes, it's like this thing like it's racist. The black people in New Orleans must all be into witchcraft and voodoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, it's not a bad movie. It's the It's a pretty entertaining movie.
Is that the one where they do the jump over the river in the car that does a flip? Do you know the scene I'm talking about?
I don't know.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Maybe. Anyways, and number 1. This is the one that starts. Dun, dun, ready to go. We're in all-time high. Couldn't remember any lyrics. All-time high from Octopussy, Rita Coolidge. Such a beautiful song.
Yeah.
And I remember, because I told this story before. Octopussy is a movie that I saw at my friend's house when I was in 4th grade. I went over to his house, and his dad had this room that had a projector in it. It's amazing. And this was in Colombia, it's pretty cool. And so it was like going to the theater in a way. And it was just the two of us watching this movie. We were definitely too young to watch, unsupervised. But it left such an impression on me. I loved it from the very beginning because they start with a little plane flight. He's in this little prop plane, and that song kicks in. And I was like, I fell in love with the song right there. I have the picture of me watching it in that room, hearing that song.
Wait, you have a picture of yourself?
No, the mental picture.
Oh.
I wish I had a picture.
Yeah, okay. Ours is pretty similar once you get up to the top. My number 10 is the... and I actually had to reacquaint myself with some of the more newer songs, but Quantum of Solace by Jack White and Alicia Keys. It's a jam. I can't sing it to you because there's not really a chorus.
Because it's not memorable.
Yeah, it's a good song though. It's like it's got a really Jack White feel to it, but it has I
actually do remember liking it in the theater, like hearing it and being like, oh, this is fun. Right. But I don't remember it.
Yeah. My number 9 is A View to a Kill by performed by Duran Duran.
Yeah.
A View to a Kill. That's like a genuine.
It's a good song.
I would just listen to that as part of my 80s
I'm surprised it's number 9.
Yeah. Well, it's because these other songs I find to be like amazing. Number 8 is For Your Eyes Only by Sheena Easton. Great song. For your eyes only for you. And for me, I was, I don't know, 14 when that song came out or something. So right up, they probably played it on the radio. You Only Live Twice, performed by Nancy Sinatra. It's my number 7. Nancy Sinatra, I went through a Nancy Sinatra phase, I think in the 90s, and I feel like I need to go back because Nancy has some really great songs. I mean, everyone knows, these boots are made for walking.
Right.
But she has like a lot of really great songs. I feel like she made some really interesting artistic choices. To me, she's sort of like the female what's his face?
Frank Sinatra?
No. What's his
what
name?
genre? Like what?
Well, a single artist who sings the Cherry song.
The Cherry song?
Cherry Baby. God damn it.
Cherry Baby. Frankie Valli.
No.
What are you talking about then?
God damn it.
Cherry.
No, Cherry song. Baby. 60s. People are throwing their... Neil Diamond.
Wait, he does a song called Cherry Baby?
No, it's just Cherry. Or something. Anyway. I don't know. Don't ask me anything.
So she's the female
Neil Diamond
Phillips.
Cherry. Yeah, Cherry.
Okay.
Cherry.
I don't even know that one.
Really? Oh.
I know Coming to America.
That's the only Neil Diamond song. You know a lot of Neil Diamond songs.
I do, but the reason I know that one so well is because they would play it on Eastern Airlines every time I was coming from Colombia.
Okay, we're just gonna have to
propaganda.
We're have to go through his discography here just to kind of get his singles down here. Okay, singles. Cherry. Okay, Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon.
Girl, you'll be a woman soon.
Kentucky Woman.
Don't know that one.
It's a good one. Red Wine. He wrote that.
Red wine. UB40 is the only version I know.
Which is very different from his version. Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline. Dun, dun, dun.
Cracklin' Rosie.
Rosie.
He ain't heavy. He's my brother.
I want you.
I'm a believer. I'm a believer.
Oh, wait, that's Neil Diamond?
Yeah, he wrote that for the Monkees.
Oh, okay.
Play Me. You've probably heard that song.
Play me, play you.
No.
Play us together naturally.
Let's see. You don't bring me flowers.
That's Play Me?
Anymore.
Oh, I do know that song.
Forever in Blue Jeans.
Oh, that's a good one. Forever in Blue Jeans.
Hello Again. Love on the
Wait,
Love
Hello
on the
Again
Rocks.
is Adele, isn't it?
No, Love on the Rocks.
Don't know it.
America.
Coming to America.
Heartlight.
Today.
Heartlight, which was for E.T.
Oh, okay.
Turn on your heart light now.
Okay, that's cheesy.
But anyway, you know a lot of songs. Come on.
Barely.
Anyway,
Neil Diamond Phillips.
So where was I? Okay, number 6, Living Daylights by Aha. It's actually a pretty good song.
Yeah, that I don't
number
remember.
5, I'm putting the Billie Eilish, No Time to Die.
The new one, yeah. You know what? Actually, it'll probably... I don't even mean grow on me because I liked it. It's not... See, the problem is a lot of these modern ones, they're not as memorable.
Yeah. Well, because back in the day, the songs that, Living Daylights...
Those are songs.
Well, they would play them on the radio.
Yeah.
And
full-on songs.
And it was a top 40 hit.
And they managed to get both the Bond feel and, like, to me, Live and Let Die is almost the perfect example because it's got all the bombastic stuff that you need for those intros, and yet it's a perfect song,
I kind of feel like the contemporary Bond songs are also Bondy as well.
They are. It's just not also a great song.
Well,
I mean, it depends what you mean, but it's not a memorable song.
I think part of it is our age, and two, again, like I said, back in the day, these songs were top 40 hits, meaning that you and I couldn't get away from these songs if we wanted to, and they became, familiar, and then we fell in love with them. Whereas today, it's like the No Time to Die Billie Eilish song. I guarantee you, the only way I'm going to listen to that is if I dial it in.
But
it's not going to be playing at, the Safeway or something over the loudspeaker.
But I will say, it annoys me a little bit. Okay, and I'll make some exceptions. Okay, For Your Eyes Only is the name of the movie and is the name of the song. Live and Let Die is the name of the... But for some reason, some of them are a little more on the nose than others. So, whereas like All Time High and Nobody Does It Better, okay, maybe
almost all of them are directly named after the thing. I'll give you that. To a Kill.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But for some reason, some of the more recent ones bother me more because it's like Skyfall isn't a thing outside of... See, A View to a Kill is a pun.
Yeah.
Or, a kind of a clever twist of a phrase.
You could work it into a... Well, but Octopussy...
And that's why you Skyfall.
Well, with Octopussy, they couldn't write a song with the chorus.
They could have. Today they would have. And that's why it's Octopussy.
Well, no. So to be fair, a lot of the more contemporary songs, the title of the song is buried in the lyrics. It's not like the chorus. Anyway, getting back to my list, No Time to Die, Billie Eilish. I just really like Billie Eilish. I like her style. I do like her style. I respect her and her brother's songwriting. I like her personality. I like her art style. If I was a kid, I'm guessing I would really be into her. Yeah. And there's some songs where I'm like, oh, okay, but I don't know. It's just not. I don't know. I've got too many. All my slots for songs have been taken up by Depeche Mode and The Cure and the Beatles. Number 4, Live and Let Die by Paul. Number 3, Octopussy, All Time High. You see,
because it's a Octopussy.
And then number 2 is Nobody Does It Better. And it's interesting because at the time, and with a lot of these people, Carly Simon was huge at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And her voice is so distinctive.
Oh,
and
so good.
And yeah, it gives me chills thinking about that song because that the song really communicates it's both a great song and a good kind of love song that you could dance to.
And it gets to that powerful, I wasn't looking, now that I found you.
Right.
And then she does say, the spy who loved me. So they get it in there.
Yeah.
But they don't shove it in your face.
Well, and it so encapsulates the love affair that you have with James Bond.
That's right.
He's just like, no one does it better.
Nobody does it better.
Sex or spy stuff.
It makes me feel sad for all the rest.
And then number 1, of course, is Goldfinger. Because Goldfinger, thinking about it, Goldfinger, the movie, and everything about it, even the theme song, is just so iconic.
Yeah.
If
I can't
100 years from now, I just hope that if they choose one Bond, product to have in the Museum of Time,
it's for Your Majesty's Secret Service. Great song in that one too.
All right, so let's rank our Bond actors, starting with number 6, Berto.
There is no number 6, but if there were, it'd be Sir Timothy Dalton.
Wait, there's 6.
I know, but I really, so look, Timothy Dalton's this Shakespearean actor.
Oh, you just left him off the list.
Yeah. He's a good actor, I'm sure. Not a Bond. He had no sense of humor. He was too dry, and it's probably not even his fault. He looked too severe. It just didn't work. It's so sad. Yet The Living Daylights, good movie. It's a good movie. All right, number 5, George Lazenby. He did a good job. I commend him. And
Berto,
his movie is better than almost all the Pierce Brosnan movies.
You're absolutely entitled to your opinion, and I'm not going to say anything negative. You put him at number 5. That's it's fine. People have different opinions.
Number 4, Pierce Brosnan. Now look, I know his movies are mostly very, very candy apple, but Pierce Brosnan does look the part.
Yeah.
And he himself, within the construct of those movies, he did a fine job.
Yeah.
And I loved him.
That's what I think both Brosnan and Dalton suffered from, was terrible directing and writing. I mean, the little bit I do remember of those movies was just how kind of just stupid they were. I'm lumping a lot of stuff into one thing.
Because the second Dalton movie was really stupid.
Okay, because to me, it was almost because, to me, the earlier James Bond movies, they were trying to make a movie.
Yeah.
They weren't parroting their own thing. I felt like at a certain point, they were going, ha ha ha, look at us. But also during the time, that's the way action movies were. I mean, this is during like Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff.
Well, but I will say this. Look, Timothy Dalton's first movie was The Living Daylights. That one actually is good, and it doesn't parody itself.
Okay.
The second one doesn't parody itself. It's just stupid. It's the one with the drug runners in Colombia.
Right. That's the one that pops into my head.
With the truck that does a wheelie to avoid a missile.
Right.
But Pierce Brosnan, I agree. Other than GoldenEye, which wasn't great, but it was okay. The rest of them are really like the scary movie of the Bonds.
Yeah, look at us. We're doing another Bond.
It, wink, wink.
We're doing a Bond.
We've got all the little things.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3, Daniel Craig. I love Daniel Craig. I thought he was amazing. I don't like a lot of his movies. I do like Casino Royale. I like the new one. I liked part of Skyfall, and I didn't like the rest of it. I don't really remember Quantum of Solace that much. I need to rewatch it. I really didn't like his last movie before this one, but I like him. He didn't look the part, but he did play the part.
Yeah.
And I respect it. Number 2, Sean Connery. Oh, this is so controversial. I went back and forth a billion times. I had to give the number 1 to Roger Moore because he was my first Bond.
Yeah.
And he's iconic.
It's controversial because, when we were growing up, everyone was like, Sean Connery is the best and Roger Moore sucks. Like everyone hated Roger Moore. And I was always like, why? I mean, Sean Connery's great, but Roger Moore's also great.
Yeah. And Roger Moore, out of all of them, had the best comedic timing.
Yeah.
He was so funny. And he definitely looked the part, especially in the first movie. The last couple, he was looking his age, but he was
like in his 60s.
I know. He looked fantastic.
Yeah, he looked so good for his age.
But he really had that smoothness. And the one thing also, he wasn't as big of a jerk to women. The movies still had that, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
And also, between Sean Connery and him, Sean Connery is actually technically probably a more believable character. He's a little more rough and tumble, maybe more what an actual spy would be like. But Roger Moore is kind of what I picture as a refined, uppity British spy.
Totally.
Like a little more, white
fancy
collar.
Yeah, a little fancier.
Tough tier.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my list.
For me, I put Daniel Craig number 6, which it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
Oh
but
my God, that's
fighting word. It's totally not his fault because he's been in a lot of movies before James Bond, and I liked him in a lot of other movies. He plays sometimes like a goofball. Sometimes he can play like a tragic villain. But in this movie, it's like these movies, particularly the first.
Wasn't he in Knives Out, by the way?
Yeah, he was great. He
was good in that.
Yeah, he was also in Road to Perdition, I believe.
And the girl with the dragon tattoo?
Was he? Anyway, he's a great actor, so it's not his fault. It's the way that they wrote it, and they clearly made this choice, and it clearly worked because people love these movies. But his character, who is the Daniel Craig James Bond, other than just
he's a badass parkour buff expert.
Yeah, he's a machine. He's like the Terminator. You know what I mean? Like there's no character, there's no humor, there's no warmth. It's just he's a machine. He's like an angry animal. Like I don't. And when he's not angry, he's sad. Or not really sad. He's more like, screw it. I'm gonna be in this Jamaican paradise while I scowl at the moon. I long for the Roger Moore, Sean Connery times when these characters and the actors, I felt like I could hang out with. You're not going to hang out with the Daniel Craig James Bond.
Why are you such a robotist?
Number 5, Timothy Dalton, for all the reasons. In addition to, I don't even really remember him.
Yeah.
I just remember I didn't like him.
I can't believe you put him up. Oh my God.
Number 4, you got Pierce Brosnan for similar reasons. But boy, because I lived through the years where we wanted Pierce Brosnan.
Wanted him so bad from Remington Steele.
So for those who don't know the history, you had Sean Connery, you had George Lazenby, you had Roger Moore. Everyone agreed growing up. So you just had 3, and everyone agreed Sean Connery was the best. Roger Moore was like, everyone hated Roger Moore when I was a kid. It was just like, he was like a joke. And then George Lazenby was like, who's that? So it was all about Sean Connery. And Pierce Brosnan was on this show called Remington Steele that was popular in the 80s.
Yep.
And everyone was like, oh my God. And because Roger Moore's getting older, and you have this Pierce Brosnan guy who's young, and it's like, if you drew a picture of James Bond, it would be Pierce Brosnan, And he was British, and he, tall, and he was a tall drink of water.
He looked great in a tux.
Yeah, and he, he was just amazing. And apparently what reportedly happened was the James Bond studio was like, okay, Pierce Brosnan, and he's like, yeah. But because it leaked to the press that he was going to become the next James Bond, the TV show Remington Steele took off. Everyone was like, well, who is this next James Bond? So everyone started watching Remington Steele.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
And the Remington Steele people were like, well, we'll up your contract. No. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I won't do the next James Bond movie, but I will do Remington Steele.
And that's why they had to go with Timothy Dalton.
That's why they had to do Timothy Dalton.
Oh, shoot.
And this is just what I read in a little article. So, once Timothy Dalton was named, Remington Steele's numbers plummeted.
Oh no.
Yeah, or something like that.
That sucks.
But anyway, yeah, so Pierce Brosnan, there was so much hype around him because at the time, people thought Roger Moore was the crappiest, James Bond ever. And they thought Pierce Brosnan would bring back the suave, kind of swarthiness to the character.
Old at that point. Yeah.
And then when he came out as James Bond and started making movies, finally, it was like Too Little Too Late or something. And I think the scripts weren't written very well. Who knows? Number 3 is that my top 3 are impossible for me to differentiate, by the way. Like, I just can't. It's like, do I like Han Solo or Luke Skywalker or Leia? Like, how do I pick? But if I had to, they're very closely lumped together. But I put Roger Moore number 3. Love Roger Moore. As we were saying, the word I have for him is smooth.
Smooth operator.
Number 2, I got Sean Connery.
Oh, I see. So you're leaving an open number 1. I like it. Just leave it open.
Sean Connery, super cool. The epitome of masculinity in good ways and bad. Number 1, George Lazenby, because he is, my word for it is relatable.
I see. Okay, this was like a parody list. I get it. You're not entitled to your options.
Well, I am entitled to end this podcast, and everyone out there, please take care of yourself because
you deserve it.